All right, let's do it. Let's go live. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Policy and Finance Committee meeting this evening at 6 p.m. Usually we're in the afternoon. It's a little darker out than normal, so that's all right. We can still get things accomplished. I do want to thank everyone for being here. I've got a few comments before we get started. Then I will see if my colleagues have anything they want to say before we get started, and then we will open it up for public comment. We have been tasked, step one of this process is this committee has been tasked with creating the application, which will then be used for individuals to sign up to see if they are eligible or can qualify for the $10 million of ARPA funds that we have set aside for the community bucket, as we keep calling it. The goal of this meeting tonight is for us to listen, not to talk at you, but to actually hear from you and incorporate what we hear this evening into this process. Our timeline at this point is to get public input tonight, and then over the next several weeks incorporate what we hear here with other drafts that the staff has been working on. That'll probably take us a few weeks. We're working on scheduling a meeting for I think we're looking at the second week of April, coordinating some schedules. At that meeting, we will hopefully come out with a more concrete application, which the goal is to present that to the governing body at our April 19th governing body meeting. Hopefully we will do such a great job that the governing body will say, this is perfect, we approve it that evening and we can move forward. More than likely they'll have a few tweaks, we'll come back and tweak them and then hopefully get that approval sometime in May. That's kind of the timeline we're at. And then at that point, everyone will start the process of applying for those funds, and the discussions will be had by this committee and the larger governing body as a whole as to how those funds will be expended and to what groups. So that's kind of where we're at in this process. I think I said to someone earlier, this will not be a slow process, but it will be a deliberative process. So it is going to take several months. Our goal is not to just rush through it and give money for the sake of giving, but make sure that we're giving it to the project that the community thinks are deserving and can do the most good in this community. So that's sort of where we're at this evening. I don't know if Hannah or Christina would like to add anything or say anything before we get started.
You nailed it.
All right, with that, just a few reminders. Everyone this evening does have 4 minutes. The timer is up there. It'll beep once when you have 1 minute left, and then it'll stop, beep again, and you're done. We do have about 20 plus people signed up to speak, so at this point, I'm not inclined to go beyond those 4 minutes, so if you can try to keep it in those 4 minutes, that would be appreciated. I also always remind people, believe it or not, we do read your emails and take your phone calls. So if you forgot a thought or you have follow-up or you have other people who you know couldn't be here this evening who want to give us some thoughts, please make sure they email Councilmembers Nager, Valdivia, or myself, or call us, because we are paying close attention, and I can already tell you we've incorporated things we've heard from individuals into our process to this point. So with that, the first name on my list is Bill Persinger. Junior, as it says on my list. Junior.
If you're my mom, it's Billy. God rest her soul. Deputy Mayor, honorable members of the Policy Finance Committee, staff and guests, I am Bill Persinger. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Vallejo Behavioral Health Care. I do have written remarks. They're brief. I'll send them to Liz by email tomorrow, and we'll be here to stand for questions, if any. I want to thank you for your outstanding support of social services, behavioral health care, and public safety net programs. Your foresight and leadership are much appreciated. As you continue your insightful and compassionate work towards the betterment of our community and citizens, I offer these thoughts for your consideration. Methamphetamine and opioid addiction are a major health, social, and safety concern with many areas of unmet need, including data gathering, needs assessment, and planning, and services up and down the continuum of care. From prevention to intervention should be enhanced. Beyond prevention, education, and treatment, housing and employment are areas that help sustain recovery from addiction. For a number of years, the Shawnee County Community Health Needs Assessment and the Community Health Improvement Plan have identified substance abuse and addiction as high priority concerns. Unsheltered adults. Unsheltered adults experience many immediate challenges, including behavioral health concerns, access to safe and affordable housing, access to food, medicine, employment, and hygiene services, enhancement to existing services, as well as new best practice initiatives are encouraged. Uninsured adults with severe and persistent mental illness have multiple challenges accessing behavioral health care services, employment, health care, and social services. Enhanced public mental health services are needed, such as crisis intervention, home and community-based services, medication, housing, counseling, employment supports, and others. Lastly, there is a wide intersection where behavioral health care and the criminal justice system meet. Locally, statewide, and nationally, there are very positive reforms occurring that will have and already are having good outcomes for all concerned through initiatives such as the co-responder program, mental health courts, drug courts, mental health and addiction services in our local jail, competency to stand trial evaluations, and restoration to competency versus a trip to Larned State Hospital, by the way, and jail release planning, just to name a few of the local, statewide, and national initiatives. A further assessment of unmet needs, data gathering, planning, public policy making, and funding for the areas above and others are needed. Again, thank you for the time and energy you're investing in social, health, and behavioral services. We stand ready to assist in any way. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll stand for questions, or I'll cede my time to the next presenter.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next on my list
Thanks,
is Jonathan Sublett.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Sublett, and I am here on behalf of Sent Topeka. We are a community development nonprofit operating primarily in the Highcrest neighborhood. And I'm here to speak with you about our Fremont Hill Development Project. I've given some materials to the committee to review, and so I won't be able to review all of it this evening. Total, this development is a 29-acre development in the Highcrest neighborhood. In 2019, Sent built the first brand new house in the Highcrest neighborhood in over 60 years. We're continuing to do the work, and this project would be groundbreaking and legacy building, not only for the Highcrest neighborhood, Southeast Topeka, and also for the city of Topeka as a whole. What we're seeking $600,000 to be used for infrastructure of phase 1, which is a 30-house subdivision development in that neighborhood. And out of 20 of those 30 houses will be LMI properties. 10 of them will be market rate properties. And so we want to build some mixed income housing in our neighborhood to continue moving our neighborhood toward a healthy neighborhood. Highcrest traditionally, since the city has been measuring neighborhood health, has been always measured as an intensive care neighborhood until this summer, which it moved from intensive care to at-risk. We want to continue that development. This is a tremendous opportunity for the city because most of the time when the city invests in infrastructure, it is kind of like a dark hole. You invest in potholes and streets and you never see anything back. This project, when we look at both phases, one side is the new subdivision, phase 1. The other side is mixed development, including retail, some condos, and mixed development that was seen as needed in the housing study. Will all be included with a community center, dog park, and different things of that nature together. The total investment over 29 acres will be $110 million. We own the land outright. There's no liens on the land, on the 29 acres of land in the community. We're already gathering community partners. The project, we have already spent money to get an economic analysis done. We'll bring $164 million back to the community. Over $6.5 million to the city and about $6 million to the county, and about over $38 million worth of construction salaries as a part of this project. So this is a tremendous opportunity for the city to put in $600,000 into infrastructure and to actually see a return not only on immediately in the first 10 years, but to houses added to the tax roll, because phase 1 will add 30 new properties and there will be about 32 new condos also added to the tax rolls because of this project, not to mention the retail spaces.
That's great. Thank you. Anything from I will make sure this information also gets to the other committee members. I think this next one's on Zoom. Rosalind Carr. I see her on there. Are you there, Rosalind? I see your picture. We may come back to her. We'll come back to Rosalind. All right, so the next one's also on Zoom, Craig Johnson.
Good afternoon, or good evening. And thank you guys for taking the time out to listen to us. My name is Craig Johnson. I'm a lifelong resident of Topeka, Kansas, and I've been a volunteer policeman for 30 years. And we have a product, it's called Staycom Calamity. It's an orange document holder that has places for your auto registration, auto insurance, and it also has a emergency contact in English and Spanish. And what we want to do is to get our citizens, have these, and learn the components, the inside of our Staycom holder has got things you can do if you stop by the police. And also, since I'm pro-police and all of this, our Staycom holder goes a lot deeper than that. We can use it in emergency situations, medical situations. You know, if you have an accident and you're can't communicate, EMS will be able to go to your Staycom holder and provide the information that's urgently needed. We all know that the sooner you apply the proper medical attention, the better survival rate is. So we just want to get some support and get it in citizens' hands. We have distributed probably 2,500 of these, and our results are outstanding. People like them. You can see them at night, and if you have all your information in one place, and also it prepares our citizens and law enforcement together. They both agree that these Staycom holders are what's needed to build that bridge, you know, to try to have everybody relax when tensions are high. So that's what we want to do, and we just want some support and getting those distributed in the city of Topeka, and hopefully our citizens can come together and start building bridges so, you know, we can stop a lot of this. I don't know, there's just too much tension going now, whether we want to know it or not. And we just want to build bridges, and that's what that's what we want to do. My time up?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm done.
Well, then your time is up. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson.
All right, thanks.
Leroy Ware. Says that one's in person.
It's not here yet.
Okay, well, we'll put him on the maybe show up list. Stephanie Prince. This one's in person. Oh, you're Stephanie Prince. All right.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Ware, and Stephanie Prince, and I am from Miracle Life Church. I have a foundation that just launched this year called I Am Her. It stands for Helping Each Other Reach. Our motto is Elevation Mindset and Eagle Vision. Our mission is Sisterhood, Changing Worldview, One Voice, One Sister at a Time. We are a foundation. We don't only do podcasts twice a month to help other women, and we have Q&As with women. We let them call in. We don't only do podcasts twice a month to help other women and do like a table talk, but we also, in the summer especially, we do discipleship, like feeding the need, especially in tent city and then the highest poverty areas. A lot of the areas we go to are drug areas. We feed them. We supply diaper wipes, socks, and everything that you need to be able to survive out there. Some of them have nothing but a tent. Some of them we see are just sleeping under the bridge with like 5 blankets. So we go and do the best we can for them. Also in our church, we have Blessings Closet, Pantry of Plenty. We are going to be launching a training center. We also do Toys for Tots, and then we do Thankful Turkey giveaways every year. We're looking forward to our city, or finding a building that is in city code to pass the harvesters requirements to feed the need also. We are wanting training rooms. We wanted classrooms for teenagers and girls. We also have a foundation launching called I Am Pure for from 5 years old to 21-year-old. Basically, it's going to be for girls, and they're going to learn how to be women. It's our motto for that is it takes a team to raise a queen. So we want to give every girl or every young woman a positive mindset, no matter what situation, no matter what they're going through. We want to show them how to live life in a positive way and not make a lot of mistakes that their parents made or others have made. So, and we want a clean, clear, and professional way of doing things. And we just are hoping that with your help, we can make this mission possible. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. I'll go back. Do you know if Rosalind Carr is re-entered yet? No, maybe? Okay. It's all right. We'll keep trying. No worries. Timothy Ware is who I have next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Timothy Ware, and I am from Miracle Life Church as well. Stephanie Ware is my sister, and I am in the process of founding an organization called Committed. Hello, City Council members and audience. I am Timothy Lee Ware. I'm an active pastor of Miracle Life Church. I have established a foundation under the umbrella of Miracle Life Church. The name of this foundation is called Committed. This foundation helps men, women, and children find hope. We go into poverty neighborhoods during the cold and hot months of winter, spring, and summer and feed them. We offer resources for employment for men. We offer treatment resources for men that are struggling with addiction. We offer free relationship and marital counseling and encouragement. Miracle Life Church has also offered free marital and wedding service at Miracle Life Church. So we also do those things as well. During the holidays, we give out free turkeys and thousands of dollars worth of Christmas gifts, like she stated. I am also an editing partner with Miracle Life Church. My father, Pastor Leroy Ware, is the producer for the Women's Foundations. We record and stream live videos for the I Am Her women's group at our church. I would like to teach men skills in technology. That way we could help men learn something that they could maybe take to a job. We are in need of newer technology as far as, but not limited to, computers, cameras, SD cards, tripods, lighting, background and audio essentials. If you would please consider Miracle Life and the Committed Foundation, we will surely put every penny to good use. So, and I don't know how long I have, but here are just a few pictures of some of the things that we've done in the community. Giving out toys and the holidays. Those are just a few pictures of us in the neighborhood, just trying to help, our people in the community. But that's all that I have, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Carr, you are up.
I am up.
It's your turn, absolutely.
All right. Good evening. My name is Rosalind Carr, and I am the after-school director for the Salvation Army the after-school program, and we service anywhere from 10 to 15 students at a given time. And we have the children come after school. We get them with our vans, and they come. And we noticed that with COVID, the students are suffering from being out of school for 18 months. And that's almost 2 years growth that the students have lost. With the students coming, I've had an opportunity to communicate with some of their teachers, and they were telling me of the problems that the students, are having. They're socially behind because they weren't able to interact for those 18 months to almost 24 months. So the students are in need of being able to interact socially, knowing how they can continue to progress and become that citizen, a productive citizen that we'd like. And the COVID has affected them. Some of them suffer emotional problems and don't know how to deal with it. And these are some of the things that we are trying to teach them there in the after-school program. We try to, since we are a religious organization, what we do is we infuse the Bible with our activities. And we do all kinds of hands-on activities, from cooking to doing computer-type activities. And there are a lot of things that we could use. Like, of course, we could use more laptops, more video equipment to introduce them to different careers, just getting them so that they can experience things that I know when I was younger, I had an opportunity to learn how to sew and to cook and to do measurement and do all of this sort of stuff. A lot of these children haven't had those simple experiences, and this is what we try to offer. So we are doing things from the simple and the ordinary to trying to show them how to present themselves in front of a camera. So anything that we can use, and even the school district. The school district is also in need of equipment, volunteers, individuals to come in and show their skills and their talents. And I'm just hopefully able to recruit some volunteers to come in to the after-school program. It runs between 4 and 6 o'clock in the evenings. Anything that can, that the community thinks that would be useful, we would appreciate it. And I probably think my time is up, and I hope that if anybody has any free time to offer, give me a call at the Salvation Army. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you very much, and I commend you for not breaking while you were nonetheless. Every one of us with children at home can 100% relate to that moment. Been there, done that.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Well done. Thank you very much. All right, next up, Tina Carter.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. My name is Tina Carter, and I am representing Open Arms Outreach Ministries, located at 2401 Southeast 11th Street. Our pastor is over here, Pastor S.C. Mitchell, and our First Lady, Jeanette Mitchell. We purchased the elementary school at the Belvoir Elementary School, and we have been an intricate part of our community, providing food, clothing, COVID testing, and vaccination sites to the Paradise Plaza, Deer Creek, Yabar Senior Citizen Area, and housing development. We work a lot with the community, and I think that we have been that beacon of light. One thing that we would like to see in the funding criteria is that it should include churches and organizations that make a difference in the community. So many times that some larger churches may have people there that are grant writers and able to use the type of verbiage needed in order to get a grant, but other churches, they're doing the work, but they may not have those resources available. So we are really asking the Finance Committee to look at that issue so that the playing field could be leveled for the Black and brown communities that are out here making a difference. Another component that we would like to look at is making sure that there's some money for young women coming out of the foster care system. I have a nonprofit called You Can Begin Again, and we had to close in August of 2020 because of the COVID crisis. And we service young women coming out of the foster care system that were displaced, they were homeless, and they had children. We lost our place, and 11 young women went homeless after that. And so I would just like to make sure that there's some money available for programs that we could provide housing for these young women, for these young men that don't have a safety net. They don't have family or family support. We really thank Open Arms Outreach Ministries. They let us have our office out of their building and provided us storage for all of our materials. So those are the things that we would like to see taking place in the funding for these special funds. Thank you very much. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carter. Next up, Stephen Massey. Excuse me.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Elder Stephen Massey, and I am the founder and director of It Takes a Village Incorporated. And it's a performing arts program that was established in 2012. Our mission was to build confidence and strong character in young people ages 10 to 20. By cultivating community pride and removing barriers through exploration and exposure to the performing and creative arts through mentorship and instruction. ITAF was established to provide an opportunity for young people who have been identified as at risk to work with instructors, mentors, and volunteers to improve their ability to develop positive attitudes toward their future in the performing arts with real lifestyle experiences. The long-term goal is to empower young people and equip them with the tools needed to be disciplined in their desired art form and become responsible leaders in the community. Dance can improve your mood and attitude, ease depression and anxiety. Dance is the effective type of exercise that raises your heart rate and works your muscles. It's beneficial in increasing self-esteem and boosting confidence by fostering self-expression and developing social skills. Dance helps with emotional expressions and is a positive way to help remove the negativity that most of the young people that we serve and come in contact with. In 2019, Shawnee County Parks and Rec partnered with ITAF to assist in serving a population in East Topeka area that has been underserved for years. Since moving into Rice Community Center, we have been able to offer a host of services and serve hundreds of youth with limited space and limited resources. ITAF currently offers dance classes for youth ages 5 to 20 according to skill level. ITAF has produced 10 productions since 2014 with an average to 70 to 85 youth in each production with very little financial support, our biggest being the Chocolate Nutcracker Midwest. We barely survived through the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, but ITAF continued to be open as we follow the CD guidelines, allowing the young people to come to the center, see us smile, process the pandemic, and dance through it. ITAF works with youth considered at risk, which include youth from families exposed to adverse economic situations, unstable family situations, or youth who are less likely to transition successfully into adulthood without exposure or intervention from a positive community program. During the time that ITAF has been at Rice Community Center, the volunteer staff has been able to work with many youth and establish relationships with them and their families. The youth come to the center to dance, but also come with issues and concerns that staff have to deal with on a regular basis. Staff have often had to offer counsel, provide money or food to youth that don't have what they need at home, and act as parental figures to the youth because of their unstable family situations. Dance has often been an escape from the issues that some of our youth experience on a daily basis. Many youth have expressed how important ITAF is to them, and as the director and founder of ITAF, I see the need to expand the services that we currently offer in order to fully assist the kids that we serve and other youth in our city. Although a performing arts program, the definition of It Takes a Village is actually the true meaning of social services, because it definitely takes a village to provide assistance and support for the members of our community. Although the primary function of the program is expose the youth to art-related programs, the programs have served our community on so many other levels. Funding and support from the city of Topeka would enable the vision that ITAF has for an art center that provides dance and performing art instruction, mentoring, tutoring, nutritional services and counseling services, college and career planning, self-esteem boosting, revealing an untapped talent and potential, strengthening of social skills, providing positive role models, and a host of other outcomes. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you. Brett Martin.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to share. My name is Brett Martin, Vice President of Community Impact at United Way of Greater Topeka. While there are no foolproof ways to approach systems and program and even community level solutions to all of the issues facing our community, many of which have been shared this evening, there are some key factors that I believe, if included, can help us create a trustworthy process with some very meaningful outcomes. First, I would propose through our experience at United Way of Greater Topeka to hire a consultant to help sift through some of the high-level data and suggest some best practices and approaches for investment of these once-in-a-generation resources. Second, we need public input. We've collected a lot of data from the public through things like the Community Health Needs Assessment that Bill mentioned earlier. We've also had a number of organizations that have held stakeholder meetings over the last year, some over the last 24 months. We could seek additional input from the community, but I think there's a lot that we could learn from these sessions that have already taken place. As part of this step, we also need to hear from agencies, programs, churches that carry out meaningful work on behalf of our community each day. These vital organizations have a great deal of experience and knowledge that would help shape the grant-making process. We've heard from many of those folks this evening. Lastly, once these steps have been completed, a strategic allocation of dollars to certain areas could be determined and then an application rolled out to the community. This process brings together those pieces that are crucial to bringing about meaningful community change: best practices, community input, and program capacity and input. In my estimation, this is the secret sauce that could help us be more successful. Through this process, I believe we would have an opportunity to serve many of those areas that have been highlighted this evening, many of those areas in our community, either geographically or population-wise, that have been underserved for decades. Let me also say this: money does not solve problems. Let me say that again. Money does not solve problems. In fact, I would argue that money can often create more problems. But through carefully developed strategies, through community input, through agency relationships and collaboration, this is the way that we're able to make progress on these issues in our community. Issues like housing, issues like mental health and substance abuse, issues like childcare, issues like access to food. Money itself will not solve these issues, but strategic allocation of these resources and community collaboration among many of the folks who are here in this room, among many of the folks who are in our neighborhoods, again, many of folks who are in underserved areas in our community. These are the ways for us to make much needed progress and help those in our community who need it most. Thank you.
Thank you. Cathy Varta.
Hi, I'm Cathy Varta, and I'm the director of the LULAC Senior Center. We are the only full-time senior center in Topeka. We were established in 1973 in the Oakland community to help senior citizens have their best life after they worked all their lives. We are a grant recipient of city funding already. And one of the things that I would like to suggest that if you decide to do the process similar to the city, that you don't make it quite as detailed as it is right now, since this is one-time money. LULAC sees about currently 287 seniors who range from age 64 to 92. And our folks are very, very active. Our building belongs to us, and we recently had a mural painted on our building as part of a neighborhood development grant. But the inside of our building needs much work. We're not quite ADA compliant. We need to be. But as with all nonprofits, when your funding is limited, there's a few things that have to kind of wait aside. So I'm not familiar with what you are looking at exactly, but I know that with one-time funding, that many of us, there are things that we definitely need to do to our structure to continue doing what we're doing in the Topeka community. And I'm done, and I still have 2 minutes.
No, that's all right. Thank you. I had an old priest who people used to say to him, you know how to make a short speech or a short sermon very long, right? He was one of those, but it's all right. With that, Pastor Carl Frazier, I believe on Zoom. See the pastor on there? Oh, I see his picture. Hey.
Yes.
Hey.
Good evening. How you all doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm excited to be here. But doing good. I'm excited to be here this evening. I'm here to represent the Center for Peace and Justice. The Topeka Center for Peace and Justice is a mission to promote justice and peace throughout education and action for social change by working with individuals and organizations in the greater Topeka community. Our organization is different, a little bit different, because number one, we try to get students a second chance. One of the things we do is collaborate with the referrers from the DA department, Southern County DA, work with them. Also, we started a new program called the Parents Youth Facilitator, which we are collaborating with KU. And we are working with many organizations. We have Peace Camp for the youth during the summer. And one of the things I love about the restoration of the community is that we work with several schools in the community, Shoney Heights, 501, and try to do restorative practice in those areas. And one of the things what is special about restorative justice is that since it was founded, the Topeka Center for Peace and Justice have been committed to principles of restorative justice, including building community relationship, resolve conflict through dialogue and create problems, focus on repairing the harm done, and give victims a voice in the process. And one of the things I'm really excited about doing is that one of the reasons we are still asking for funding, that we have a new program that we started. It's called Neighborhood Program, which we have a restorative justice program in different neighborhoods, and so that there can be some resolving issues in those neighborhoods. And since this is one-time funding, we can really appreciate an opportunity to use these funds to restore our youth, give them a second chance in our community. You know, I looked at myself. I thank God he gave me a second chance. And I hope that with the funding through this opera dollars, you can donate, give money to the Center for Peace and Justice so that we can give more youth a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor.
Yeah.
Susan Harris, I believe it says on Zoom.
Yes. Hello. Hi.
There she
Thank you for this opportunity. Hi. I'm Susan Harris. I'm the Executive Director of the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging. Area Agency on Aging are responsible for being the stewards of federal dollars through the Older Americans Act. And as such, we're the recipients of approximately $2.4 million of Older American Act funding that's utilized for services and supports in our 3-county area. We do provide services directly. However, the majority of those funds are passed through to different agencies that provide services to older adults, such as the senior centers here in Topeka, Meals on Wheels, Kansas Legal Services, a number of home health agencies, just to name a few. Those dollars support services such as nutrition, transportation, legal assistance, and attendant care, homemaker services, services vital to keep older adults in their own homes. And understanding that the purpose of this input session is to provide the committee our thoughts on the process, I'll briefly share some of my thoughts. I think the application needs to be as simple as possible. I think just showing from some of the interest here and the presentations that I've heard thus far, there's probably some entities that haven't had involvement with perhaps, say, the social services grants funding that is through the city of Topeka. So I think if we can keep the process as simple as possible, it'll be more equitable for everybody to get a chance at these dollars. I think we do need to make sure that the service need and the basis of the needs are well addressed, though, in those applications, and that there are outcomes associated with the programs. I did take the opportunity this afternoon to listen to the last meeting, video recording of this group's meeting, and there was some brief discussion that I had heard maybe towards the end of the meeting about potentially limiting or setting thresholds for agencies that have already received maybe some COVID relief dollars through other sources. And I would just like to kind of caution this group of doing that. And the reason I say that as, again, as the pass-through agency of federal funding dollars for older adults, Jayhawk has received, I would say, a substantial amount of dollars related to COVID relief. There was 4 to 5 different pots of money that had come through to the federal, specifically related to older adults. And as such, as the pass-through agency, we passed those dollars down to provider agencies that may actually have projects and opportunities to apply for this city of Topeka dollars. So I would just hate for those entities to be excluded or not looked at in a similar manner as other agencies that haven't received any dollars, because with the dollars that we received through Jayhawk, they were still attached and had constraints related to the Older Americans Act. So there was only certain specific things that could be done with those dollars. It wasn't, as Cathy mentioned, they weren't able to do any building improvements with those dollars. And so there's other projects that those providers would have, that excluding them because they received some sort of COVID relief fund would be a disservice to those individuals as well. I see this funding also as a potential opportunity to increase current service capacity. Transportation services, there's entities that need new vehicles. This could be an opportunity that they could use some of these funding to purchase some new vans or new vehicles to provide the services. And other than that, I just say don't forget about seniors, older adults. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Irma Forbes, it says in person. Irma here. Oh, there's her.
Thank you very much. I would be extremely brief because I think we had a talk already with the council, but I forgot an important point, so here I am. I'm Irma Forbes, and I represent the Gil Carter Initiative. We have a nonprofit, a small nonprofit, with an extremely large building of about 25,000 square feet. We inherited the old detention center on 23rd and Highland. We have a small nonprofit, a large building, an enormous dream for the residents of Topeka. From there, we have done many, many programs, both for the children and adults alike. Among our many financial challenges at the time are small things like utility bills. This is an old building, and we had last year a break in the frozen pipes. We had some frozen pipes, and that resulted in busted pipes. That resulted in excessive water usage, which we were charged for, even though we had a blockage that was not conveying the water from the building into the city system. So we had to manually move all this water outside from a 13,000 square foot building. We still paying off this bill, but because we do it incrementally, we are charged the interest. So it's multiplying instead of decreasing. So what we're asking, plus we're being charged, of course, commercial rates for the water, even it's not residential, so it have to be commercial, and we do understand that. However, we are still faced with the financial issue. This happened during the height of the COVID pandemic, so it kind of struck me odd that organizations such as ours could not share in the rescue fund that was available. We were denied help. Even though we are very active in the community, and I would not go through everything that we are doing and that we have done, with this in mind, I am proposing that some of the now available funds should be awarded to active, well-established nonprofit organizations to supplement their income and catch up on operating expenses, so we can adequately implement our many, many programs and services. At this point, we have other challenges with the building, and we were offered to have a solar system. So we are also, and that would help with the utilities if we do carry on with the solar. We have raised $15,000 already for the solar system, and we need $35,000 more. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Irma. Excuse me. Lalo Munoz, are you online there? I see your name. Hey, there you are.
Hi. Thank you all for being here and for listening to the public and having our input play a part in the decisions as you decide how to fund, how to use these funds. My name is Lalo Munoz, Executive Director of El Centro Topeka, a small social service organization that works with the Spanish-speaking immigrant community. We provide language, legal, and health programs for the Spanish-speaking community. That's our sort of our small piece of the puzzle that we think we serve well. I also want to thank you all for having a portion of these funds geared towards social services. There's a lot that's going good on in our community, but I think not everybody feels that impact and feels that their lives personally are being impacted in a positive direction. So one of the things that I think is really important is that we invest in our communities as much as we invest economically in Topeka. And so when we do that, when we focus on that, I think more and more individuals will begin to believe that things are turning in a positive direction. So I want to thank you all for making a portion of these funds available for social service to help those who most need it. Your question to us was, what are the criteria and what are the qualifications that you all should look at as you begin to think about how does this funding should be appropriated? And I have a couple of things. There's a lot of great things that have already been shared with you. I'll keep it short. And I think one of the things that foremost on my mind is the issue of equity. When you look at the funds and you look at how they're being, who they're helping, are all individuals in our community being impacted, and specifically historically excluded communities in Topeka. So I think first and foremost, asking yourself those as you look at the number of projects and organizations, are we serving all individuals in our city? The second thing that comes to my mind is our neighborhoods, and are all of our neighborhoods being served in a way that individuals can feel the impact of these funds in our neighborhoods and in our families. I think there are a number of different neighborhoods which have felt oftentimes excluded, and they're just outside of things seem to be going good in parts of our Topeka, but not their neighborhood. So making sure that as you look at these funds and how we spend them, are they being spent in an equitable way? I think the second thing is, I want to encourage you all to consider, as you're looking at these funds, to try lots of different approaches to try and help our families and those who need it most make some progress. And I say that because there's no silver bullet, right? There's no one way that we're going to help our families improve in all of the ways, from health and financial. So we're going to need lots of different approaches in lots of different ways that maybe we don't necessarily agree with, but that might help some of our families make progress. So I want to encourage you to, as you look at the proposals, make sure that we have lots of different organizations and lots of different approaches to some of the problems that we face in our neighborhoods and in our city. And that means a little part of risk on your part, where there may be organizations or there may be programs which don't necessarily have a long storied history, but that are willing to try and do something in an innovative way. I think also when we talk about approaches, having organizations working in partnership and in collaborations that are new and innovative, and trying things in a different way that we haven't seen just yet. I think there's a lot that's been shared, but those are just a couple of key ideas that are on top of my head. Again, I want to thank you all for listening to us and wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much, Lalo. I hear Leroy Ware is in the building.
Yes.
Good evening, Leroy.
Yes, I am. Hello, everybody. I'm Leroy Ware, and I pastor a very small church, here in Topeka area. And we're reaching out to the community in big ways, very big ways. Well, I don't want to say very small, but we're out there in the community, and I say the community is very important here in the city of Topeka. I grew up here in Topeka. It's a wonderful place to live. I lived other places, major big cities of Dallas, Texas, but Topeka was always my home. This is where my heart is. Stayed in Dallas for 15 years, seen many great things, but I think we're doing great things here in Topeka. And every year we dig deep into our pockets financially. I have a 501c3, and as I said before, we reach very deep in our pockets to finance the needs of the community. That means homeless, and that means reaching out in the community for our children. They're our future. The work of our church, it usually starts about, we start gearing up about September. It's a lot of hard work. We rent horse and wagon. We go to the different apartments here in the community with toys. Thousands, hundreds. And those that we have left over, we're willing to donate those toys to other organizations. And we do it every year. But it's really hurting our pockets, as well as having a greater facility here in the Topeka area. There's a lot of vacant buildings, nice buildings here in Topeka, that are not occupied right now. But in the real estate world, I'm talking to a realtor at the same time, the prices is just skyrocketing. It's just unbelievable. And some buildings, they can be repaired. But we're looking for that also, so that we can go deeper, dig a little deeper into our community and rescue these people. And this is what we're all about. Our community is very important to us. You know, living here in Topeka as a child, I had a great childhood. You know, loved it, you know, but things are a little different here right now these days. You know, we didn't see homeless people, but we do now. You know, we see them everywhere. And I dig deep in my pocket. I said, what, here's 20, here's 10. Sir, I hope you're okay for the night. Very cold last week or a couple weeks ago. And it just hit my heart. I said, here, man, it's yours. But, you know, like I said, every year we dig deep. We have herky giveaways, and it's costing us. And so what we're asking for, you know, help. You know, there's funds available, and we work very hard, my staff and the whole church. Like I said, it gets crazy, very crazy. I wish you just can come out and see this, you know, what my wife is doing, you know, and everybody else that's a member of our church at Miracle Life Church, you know. Like I said, we're trying to build a better community and a better family. When you build a better family, you've got a better community. When you got a better community, you got a better nation. And so this is what we're doing with our sleeves rolled up. And this is what we're asking for, help and the funds that are available. And to access all this, we need a better place, building. And a lot of these buildings, they need work and different things like that. So that's what we're here for. Okay. So I hope I kept it brief. But anyway, that's where we are. And we're going to start again in a few more months. And we're going to dig deep. So that's what we're asking for. I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gets me back down. Where's my list? Russell Burton.
Hello, I'm Dr. Russell Burton. I appreciate the time in front of the committee. I represent Second Chance Services Street Coalition. We've been running around the streets here in Topeka for the last 3 years. Obviously, these funds ought to be spent where community needs are greatest and where programs have the best outcomes. Our community here has a big need. To quote Ukrainian president, we have a need. We have a growing chronic homeless population in our community, approximately in the neighborhood of 25 to 50 individuals a year. There's some subtle differences there, but that's about right. Based on 2017 funds, a homeless individual costs community about $35,000 a year. If you can house them, you can reduce that cost by $18,000 a year. A program such as Shelter Plus Care, which I'll talk about directly, costs about $13,000 a year. That's a net savings of $5,000 per person per year. Shelter Plus Care currently houses about 350 people. That's about $1.7 million in annual savings to this community. What works in order to reduce chronic homelessness in the city? Shelter Plus Care. The city has 7 organizations that provide Shelter Plus Care besides us. There's Mirrors, Positive Connection, Vallejo Recovery, Vietnam, the Veterans Administration, Vallejo, New Dawn. Shelter Plus Care is an effective program. It's a grant program. However this money can be used to support that program, I appreciate that very much. However, we offer a unique take on that program. There are some special problems with Shelter Plus Care as it's traditionally provided. Primarily, there are individuals who can't meet the needs of weekly or monthly meetings where they have to go to meetings in order to maintain their housing. They have to have mental health care meetings or case management or substance use treatment meetings. For individuals that have serious mental health problems, these meetings are just not possible, and it causes them to lose their traditional Shelter Plus Care housing. This is where our program comes into play. We offer housing first with Shelter Plus Care. The program is a HUD-approved program. It offers housing first without any barriers, such as treatment, case management, etc. Those are offered and available, but they're not required. You can't lose your housing for not participating in those. In short, Shelter Plus Care with housing first houses an individual as soon as possible, and then allows them to assess their life and decide what they need, and within course of case management and however they choose to get the resources that they need to be able to use for their lives as they see fit. Housing First is more effective than traditional Shelter Plus Care. You can see that in national numbers, you can see it in international numbers, and you can see it locally. Over our 3 years, we've provided Housing First in this city. We're the only organization that provides it. We provide it 100% volunteer organization. We've housed approximately 75 people in this community. These are individuals who would never otherwise be housed because they're not able to have any other relationship with any organization. We're 75% successful at what we do. We hold approximately 20% of the city's Shelter Plus Care vouchers. It costs about $150,000 a year to fund what we do. $80,000 for a licensed specialist clinical social worker, about $35,000 for a bachelor social worker, $35,000 for expenses. You can do this whole organization for $150,000. You can bring 100 individuals off a year. That's an annual savings of $500,000 this community annually. That's a 330% return on your investment. You can run that office right out of Corey's office, just like Impact Avenues is run. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Joanne Smith.
Good evening. Again, my name is Joanne Smith. I am here to speak on behalf of Topeka Jump this evening. We are not here to ask for money for ourselves or any one particular organization. Instead, we are here to ask that the council members consider a strategy for making the final decision on which project should receive money. We hope you will consider identifying 2 or 3 areas of need where you can maximize impact. For example, we have already heard many voices express support for funding affordable housing, child care, and family supports, and mental health. By focusing investment in a few broad categories, we believe Topeka has a chance to move the needle on something that has needed our attention for a long time. Affordable housing and housing equity is one of those needs. We are here tonight to ask you to choose a few broad areas, problem areas to support, and that one of those problem areas be affordable housing and housing equity. Furthermore, if you make a lump sum allocation to this program area through the Housing Trust Fund, the Oversight Committee can vet various housing proposals for the City Council to have final approval on. This is an efficient way to use a tool that you already have in place and that Topeka's housing partners already support. We hope you will consider this strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lazone Grays.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having the community come and provide input. I've shared with you all the documents, and I'm just sort of going to go through them. And I like what other people had said. I am the president of IBSA Incorporated, but I'm not here with any requests for any funds. I'm more interested about the process and the procedure to make sure that this process is open and fair. So I've shared that. If there are a few things to mention, as far as minimum qualifications, I think that I've gone off of what I've shared before. In the documents that I shared the state, what they were requesting from the recovery funds. I had mentioned before how Wichita and Unified Government, Kansas City, were delivering funds. And one thing that is universal in all of them is that they're not picking and choosing which organizations to fund. They have set specific priority areas. And I think that the city needs to do that just as well. Or you'll just get a buffet of ideas and everything. It would be hard for an organization or maybe easier for an organization if they knew specifically what areas, priority areas that you were looking to fund. Mr. Trout and others had identified in some of the previous spreadsheets specific areas. Now, let's use the state of Kansas example. One area was economic revitalization. Under that was workforce development, business development. And then it was health and education, workforce development, and some other areas. And then there was connectivity. If any organization that met a minimum qualification, say it's 501c3, not delinquent in any city, county, state, or federal taxes, and in good standing with the state of Kansas, then they should have the opportunity to apply. We never know what a proposal is going to look like, and I think that it would provide a little more clarity on how to prepare a proposal if they knew what the specific area was. Some of the areas that had been mentioned in the Treasury documents and even Mr. Trout was assistance to small businesses, assistance to nonprofits, community violence intervention, digital literacy assistance and connectivity projects, and lead paint abatement. They may have been mentioned, may not have been recommended for funding, but some of them were. That makes it a little bit easier for some group like ours, which I'm not here asking for any specific monies. I worry more about the procedure and the process, but it would make it easier for us to prepare something if we wanted to do a program for community violence intervention that would target youth or adults. And I'm not going to go over things that other people had mentioned as far as the target populations. Of course, the low to moderate income community is probably needs to be prioritized in their investment. I do want to thank the City Council for making this recommendation of $10 million for social services, demarcating from infrastructure, because that'll be a tough decision to make. And so on my documents, I did share some of the examples of funding priorities: Lawrence, Wichita, unified government, and of course there was the state of Kansas. I also provided a link to the U.S. Treasury Department on what their final rules were that can possibly add some insight on what those specific line items should be. So I hope that the process is fair, open, and that not one other thing, not just to fund the funds just for 1 year, but these funds can be distributed, or they have to be spent between now and December 31st, 2026. So just funding 1 year and not looking to the future may not be a wise thing to do, because we don't know what other variants may be coming down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Lazone. All right, that's last on this list. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to talk that we haven't gotten to or that I don't know about? What, Taylor, you're on Zoom and you're right there. Is there anyone here this evening who would like to say anything, who either didn't sign up or hadn't spoken but suddenly had a thought? Now is your chance. Going once? Going twice? All right. Well, as I mentioned earlier, please, if you have other thoughts, email us. I will reference the committee. We did receive some emails that were sent to us by staff from individuals who couldn't be here that had comments. We also received some supporting documents from some of the speakers this evening that were sent to us, including some documents from Lazone. Do Council Members Nager or Valdivia-Alcala want to say anything at this time?
Yes.
Yep,
Chair.
there you are. No, there.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to thank everybody that came online to give their feedback, and everyone that came in person as well tonight. I think that this is not going to be an easy process. Believe me when I say that I wish out of that $45 million, it could have been more than $10 million that we're talking about right now. But the juice just wasn't there to have it more than 10 million. Your feedback has been vital and understand that we're going to be very intentional about it. We know that these are unprecedented times that we are living in. We know that this is one-time money only. And 10 million, when you think about it, for the needs that our city has, like needs that many cities have, feels like a drop in the bucket. But somehow we have to make these dollars go as far as we can to make as much impact as we can. Communities are definitely suffering. The unsheltered, the LMI communities, the child care deserts, et cetera. Again, these are problems that are happening all over the country, not just in Topeka. And so the goal is that to keep moving forward, to lean in, to hear the voices that are out there that want us to consider things that maybe we have not considered before, or to be very intentional. And I just want to say, I believe we're going to really do the hardest job that we can by making this equitable, and hope you just stay in touch with us and stay tuned as we move forward on it. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Nager, anything you want to add?
Just thank you for everybody who's coming out. And as mentioned, please keep the input coming. We are still working on this application, on this process, and your input is vital. While we represent you, we need to hear from you in order to more accurately represent you. So thank you for spending your time with us this evening, and thank you, Chair, for the moments to speak.
I'll just reiterate what my colleague said. One of the traits I think the three of us share is we don't like to have meetings for the sake of having meetings. We have talked both publicly, and we've said it publicly, and we've talked privately, that this is community dollars, and so this has to be a community-driven process. And the three of us believe that. We sincerely believe it. We will do our best to show you that we believe it as we go through this process. We know that that onus is on us, but we would not be here this evening just to be here this evening. That's not how the three of us are made up. And so all of you in this room are doing things that many members of this community have no idea are being done. And those things are truly impacting a lot of lives and improving the lives of people who don't even know you're improving their lives, who live in this community. And so we want to thank you for that, and we will take that very seriously and to heart as we walk through this process. So thank you very much for being here. I know it's a time commitment, and we very much appreciate it. So enjoy that nice weather out there as you go home this evening, as I can hear the rain was hitting the roof. And with that, we are adjourned.